So the price of Bitcoin just missed out by $2,000 in hitting all-time high, and every single correction seemed like a good buying opportunity or a long opportunity. Now, just a few days ago, we were talking about this high right over here at $107,000 was very unlikely to be that double top, and we were very likely going to hit those highs again in the next coming days, which we did in the last 24 hours. Realizing that how we moved up here was not looking impulsive, it did look very corrective for a possible ABC flat, and we finally got that leg to the upside. Now, on yesterday's stream, we were looking at this structure. The best sign of strength obviously would be breaking that trend to the upside to get that momentum to claim above $107,000. And we did break here the trend line, and we just continued to the upside. Now, the question is this a good pullback? We're going to be going through the technical analysis in this video to really understand there is a chance for this to be the high, but there's also a chance for the price just to continue ripping, getting these pullbacks and continuing to the upside to hit all-time high and maybe even break above it. Now, we're going to talk about the technical issues using Elliott wave theory and also looking at the best levels of confluence of support, understanding what would be a sign of weakness and obviously a sign of strength, see how the waves need to develop in the next coming hours. Now, I did not jump into this long position. Some of the community did jump into the long position from the trend breakout. It was overall the idea of yesterday to look for that momentum to continue to the upside, still holding a bit of a long position here from lower levels. If you are interested in trading, make sure to check out Weeks, guys. They got incredible bonuses, 20% deposit bonus up to $400, $30,000 in rewards, and 25% fee reduction using that link down below in the description for Weeks. Bluffing is also a great alternative. $300 deposit bonus just by depositing $2K. You're getting $300. You only need an email and a password. No VPN to sign up on this exchange. Now, let's go right away with the different scenarios because every single pullback looks good to buy, okay, and go to new highs until we hit all-time high. Can we hit all-time high? Will we front run all-time high and get a big correction? Or are we just going to fly through all-time high? Now, I think all-time high is not going to create that swing failure pattern, right? Where you hit all-time high, you try and maintain above it, and then the big correction happens. In my opinion, you either front run it or you blast off from it, right? Pumping $5, $10, $15,000 above it. So let's talk about the structure, the different levels, and how the price action could develop. Because right now, I do like this momentum to the upside for this potentially to be the high, but also there's many options. Of course, the structure is very, very bullish. So let's talk about the most bullish case scenario, which is literally forming multiple 1-2s here, and we're just going to rip here in a third wave, 4, 5, 4, 5, and we finally break all-time high, okay? As you can see from that scenario that we mentioned the last few days, finishing that running flat. This is something that we were talking about. This could be the low. We can break through here, form a little bit of a channel. We did form that channel. If we break trend, then obviously we could be expecting those highs to be claimed. So right now, do I like the structure here? I like the structure. It's looking bullish. So we can really identify this as possibly that wave that could be ending at some point before we get the major pullback, right? So let's analyze the structure. The structure, without a doubt, is extremely bullish. So let's go with that massive bullish case scenario, which would be just forming multiple 1-2s after finishing this bullish structure, right? Where we formed that ABC flat right over here. And now we have our first wave 1, wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, and then in this correction, obviously you want it to bottom out here in between the 50% and the 7/8 Fibonacci, which is where we kind of, getting a little bit of a reaction. We're just hitting the 50% right now. Could this zone hold and then get that momentum to the upside so we can form that third wave? We get increased volume, 4, 5. We are finishing the higher time frame third wave above all-time high. We get a correction, looks like a swing failure pattern. We then end up going to $110,000 plus. We really need to see how we develop this momentum to the upside. Now, this is without a doubt a scenario. I prefer the price to actually get down to the golden pocket, 7/8 Fibonacci for this case, right? 50% Fibonacci is still, you know, this movement down is very one wavy. Preferably you do get a kind of a 3-wave structure here. Then you have the trend, then another breakout. You break out the trend and you look for higher levels to get above the recent highs. Then obviously that would be the best strategy, just very similar to yesterday, right? You got a consolidation, a bit of a wedgie structure, and then you finally break trend. You got a 3-wave structure at least here, right? Instead of trying to catch the lows, you know, you just look for that trend breakout. Now, of course, at the golden pocket here from the recent higher low, you do have a daily level as well, right? That daily level here from the day closes of the previous couple of days is without a doubt an interesting level of support. So you've got the daily and the golden pocket, and this is perfect for that multiple 1-2 setup. You really want to see this level holding. Now, of course, as we've moved down in a very one wavy structure, would be nice for a bounce and a lower high and then come down and see this zone maintaining as support, similar to yesterday's price action here, which it finally broke the trend, and then you're looking for another high at least, regardless if it's going to go to higher levels or not. Well, we have to see the overall target is reaching the highs always, because we do not know how we are going to break this. So overall, the highs is always a target zone. If we break out and continue to the upside, if you're in any long positions, then obviously you can maintain some of that position open just for higher levels. So that is one scenario, the extreme bullish case, where after this ABC running flat that we mentioned throughout the last few days is just forming 1-2, 1-2. We're going to finally rip here in a third wave because the impulsive move that we're building is still at the beginning stages. Now, that is the most bullish case scenario here for this momentum. What would be one that is not that bullish? Well, a possible contracting diagonal to the upside. We finished here the running flat on your C wave. You got your first wave up, a higher low. This one right over here is what is interesting, right? Where you know, not breaking out in a massive third wave. So your options are getting very, very shallow right now. You either have a multiple 1-2 setup and you blast off. You do have the contracting diagonal, which is 1, 2, 3. You expect a higher low, then reach the highs from early this morning again, and then fail to go to higher levels and then start getting the breakdown. Now, I wouldn't be too interested in the short position speculating that a fifth wave is going to be in, because you could blast off here in a third wave as explained on the previous setup. So what you want to see here to be confident in a short position, if you are looking for shorts, right? The market is very, very bullish. We're just claiming the highs consistently throughout the last few weeks. What you want to see after this ending diagonal, you want to see a 5-wave move to the downside, a pretty interesting impulsive move in 5 waves that is getting brutal. It's starting to break here the trend line, you know, very impulsively, high volume, and then eventually the bounce, which has a 3-wave structure. If we do develop that 3-wave structure, very, very poor price action here to the upside. That is the moment that you want to be interested in saying, okay, the top here locally could be in and we could be going to lower levels, right? We want to see that rejection with high volume, 5-wave impulsive move to the downside after finishing this possible contracting diagonal, right, in that 5th wave, which is going to front run all-time high. Lots of people are going to say, let's go to all-time high. This is it. And then you get the rejection, just $1,000 or maybe $500, right? Or maybe $1,500. We don't really know where that top could be in, okay? The 5th wave cannot be longer than the 3rd wave. So that is a measurement that you can really take a look at. If we were to get the bounce here, we cannot extend above the 3rd wave. 5th wave needs to be smaller in this contracting diagonal. So you can really speculate on where the price could be topping out, but it would still be risky to get into a short. Better wait for the confirmation. If you get that big movement down in a 5-wave structure with high volume, then we can be confident here for a possible lower high in between the 50% and the 7/8 Fibonacci retracement from that drop, okay? So it's crucial to remain patient to see that sign of weakness here if we are going to be expecting the price to go to lower levels. And now, obviously, the other scenario, which would be the end of the move. We have had a 5-wave structure here. When we finished this running flat, we can see how we formed a higher low right over here. So they've got your initial wave to the upside. You move up here with significant volume in your wave 3, your wave 4 not overlapping the highs of your wave 1. very good, not hitting the golden pocket, and then the next leg to the upside in your fifth wave, getting very choppy, already overlapping the third wave. So you kind of see that this impulse is looking to end right now, right? It's looking for its end stages. We're not really ripping to all-time high just yet. And what if the high is in, right? Well, what we would want to see here is a significant leg to the downside. For the moment, we got our first leg. If we were to get that bounce, form a lower high, then break down here eventually, if we start moving it to the downside very impulsively, where we have increased volume right in the middle of that downtrend, then eventually this could be our first sign of weakness, right? This could be it. We formed a flat. We were quite confident that this high was going to be taken throughout the last few days on the video updates, right? Regardless if this was going to be the low or not. Yesterday, looking at the potential of, I don't like this high. I do want to see it claimed. But right now, we do have this kind of bullish structure, right? We have 5 waves potentially. We have multiple 1-2s. Maybe we have one more high to the upside. So waiting for that sign of weakness, getting the breakdown with high volume is really going to give us a lot of information. So once we get that movement to the downside with 5 waves and increased volume, okay, we could say that the high is maybe in locally, and then we could look for the sweep below $100,000. But first of all, we want to see that aggressive move down with high volume to be confident that this could be the local top. Till this doesn't happen, we literally have multiple scenarios and they're all looking bullish. Of course, the bearish one would be this is the finished structure, but overall we still have that contracting diagonal to the upside. We have the multiple 1-2. The movements down are very corrective. So overall, looking for, if you're looking for a short, we want to see that first sign of weakness. Right now, we have too many bullish case scenarios. If you're looking for a long position, this is very one wavy, so I would wait for a little bit of a 3-wave move to the downside. The daily level and the golden pocket is really a zone that you want to see the price holding significantly. Now, this is slightly above the value area high of this entire trading range, so it can get a little bit choppy. As long as we still maintain this higher low, the multiple 1-2 setup, which we actually fly in a third wave, or the ascending contracting diagonal, this low needs to be your level of invalidation, right? So the 7/8 Fibonacci from this pivot low to the golden pocket should be the zone that should maintain for the extreme bullish case scenario, right? Which is taking out those highs. So this is the zone, right, which you really want to see the price holding very nicely. However, if we still continue moving down with this structure, this is looking very one wavy. So you might get that bounce, lower high, and then another movement to the downside. This 3-wave structure is where you want to be interested, right? Regardless if you form a local double bottom, you get acceptance back above the daily, right? Back above this level to back test and then look for the rise to the upside. Really want to see a 3-wave structure. As we're moving down very aggressively here, I don't want to catch here the low, it could continue down or not, right? I want to see a little bit of a 3-wave structure, and to stay better on the safer side, have that 3-wave structure, form that descending channel just like yesterday, and look for the break of the trend to be confident that we could be hitting the highs again. Not much more, just keeping it relatively simple. The high could be in. We've got many bullish case scenarios. The market structure is still very bullish with higher lows, okay, as you can see. So we want that sign of weakness, which would be breaking down very aggressively in 5 waves, okay? Have a nice little bounce in a 3-wave structure, right? Very low volume, okay? But first we need that aggressive move down so we can see this could be the first initial signs of weakness to then take that informed decision if we wanted to take a short. But for the moment, the price is looking very, very bullish, meaning that, yeah, we could hit the highs and maybe head up to all-time highs in the next coming days. Thank you very much for joining, legends, and I will see you in the next one.